So that's why I'd say to anybody who is struggling and anybody in early recovery, I always say it is painful. I'm not going to lie. It would be wrong to say it's not painful. But the pain of addiction is a dirty, rotten pain which carries on and on and on, and like a hamster wheel but goes down. The pain of recovery, it's like a clean pain. You work through it. You work through it and you come through, and things happen and you start feeling life on life's terms and feeling things in the present. And in recovery, it's not that you don't have pain anymore, but you live in the reality, unless you choose to pick up something. And it doesn't have to be a drink, it could be a behavior, to change the way you feel.
I love that description of the spiral that you say. It's like it's pain, but it's going upwards and out into something better instead of going downwards and just continuing and escalating.
Yes.
Hi, you are listening to Meditation Jam with Maria Rinné, and this is a pod with igniting energy meditations designed to connect you with your own beautiful inner wisdom that I like to call your pure heart. That infinite, wise part of you that is connecting to all, but also comes with its own journey, its own challenges. And when we connect to this pure heart energy through the igniting meditations, it bypasses all these and goes straight to your core, so that you can open up and hear, feel, accept, and have fun with your beautiful self. And I see the energy as a key that unlocks parts of us. And I will also invite guests to speak about their work, experiences, journeys, and listen to their wisdom. So before we start, I would also like to just put out a little warning that please don't be driving while listening to the meditation or doing something that demands your full attention, because I know that for some this energy can put you into a deep relaxation, almost like sleep. So please no driving. Okay, so warm welcome, and let's start this meditation jam. So warm welcome to today's episode, and I'm really happy to share this talk with you all, where we are going to talk with today's guest about celebrating life. We are going to talk about tough subject, addiction and recovery, and we are talking to artist and drug and addiction therapist Anita Chellamah. And Anita was one of the front female figures in the 80s rock scene. She has been a dancer with Leg & Co. on Top of the Pops. She has danced on the theatre scene in the West End in London. She has been part of the group Toto, Coelo. She has been part of the group the Cherry Bombz. She has acted, and she has been a presenter on Sky Channel. And then something happened that turned her life that we are going to talk about. And I'm so happy to have Anita with us today, because she is filled with wisdom and experiences and some rock and roll stories as well. And after the talk, we will go straight into an igniting energy meditation. And today we are tuning into an energy helping us to clear our mind, our emotions, ignite our heart's communication with our mind, so that we can move through life with acceptance and trust. And I hope you will enjoy it. And now I say welcome to Anita.
Warm welcome, Anita. I am so happy to have you join today. How are you?
Oh, well, this is so wonderful seeing you, Maria. And I'm so happy to be here. And it's just lovely to talk to you. Thank you for asking. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. You also truly look amazing.
Thank you.
So how is London in autumn? Because you're situated in London, right?
Yes. Oh gosh, that's a really good question. I sort of feel at the moment I'm sort of just going from home to work to site to site.
Yeah.
So London in autumn, it's sunny today. It's getting a little bit colder, but it's but yes, we had that huge event. I did actually go into London last week and went to the place where the floral tributes for the Queen. Oh, it was so moving. It was so beautiful. Myself and my husband went in and we walked through from Green Park right through up until Queen Elizabeth Gate and stopped and had a coffee and sat, and it was just a really incredible experience, actually. I was very, very moved by it.
I was in London when they buried Princess Diane, and I remember the vibe in London. It was so warm and open and quiet and still. So I can totally get now with this as well, that it's beautiful in a way, even though it's sad.
It was beautiful. I mean, and with Princess Diana, I remember it was just this outpouring of emotion. I felt the country was given permission to grieve because of her.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people's grief, a lot of things apart from Diana came up. And with the Queen, it was similar, but it was different. There was a very stately silence. You used the word silence. There was a sort of a stately silence, but charged with emotion. You could feel it. And it was just so beautiful because it felt like everybody was there for a healthy reason, for a loving reason, and a respectful reason. She really did sort of, she didn't command, it wasn't she commanded it, she didn't command it, but she really extracted, without realizing, a lot of respect from people. And I could really feel that when I was there. So it's London in autumn. I was in Italy before then, that I came back, then I went in, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's really lovely, actually.
Yeah, lovely. So let's start, because you have such a wide spread on your plate, what you have been doing. So just let's start from the beginning. You started as a dancer.
Yes, I fell into that, actually.
Okay.
I come from Newcastle and originally, and I came down to live with my mother in London. And during the school holidays, my mother was a designer, and a friend at the top of the road, his daughter was a ballet dancer. And this lady was looking after me during the summer holidays, and I went with her daughter, because she was a ballet dancer, to the ballet school. They allowed me to go, and I'd always loved dancing. About 12 years old, I remember dancing to Elton John's first album, just dancing around my flat freely. I love movement. And then I went to her dancing school and then realized I loved it, but the type of work I loved doing, the dancing I loved doing, I didn't have the strength or the technique to support, so I stayed on. And I started quite late, actually, because I started 11, 12 years old. I did 2 lessons when I was about 4, but apparently I didn't like the tights and I didn't like being lactic, so I didn't want to do it. But and from there, it's sort of like my passion for movement and moving and freedom and creating and expressing came. It was Maud Wells School of Dancing in East Ham, and Miss Hester was the teacher who encouraged me to, when I left school, because I went through a really at school. I was really anyone listening out there, children's, do what you need to do at school. I rebelled.
Okay.
There was a lot going on, and I rebelled. And I thought, what am I going to do? And so Miss Hester said, why don't you come and train with us, the same school? And I did a year there. Then I auditioned for the London School of Contemporary Dance and got into that and became a dancer. And then I left to do my first job, which was Bubbling Brown Sugar. And in fact, the director of that, Charles Organs, he's a Black American. It was a show all about the Harlem Renaissance.
Okay.
And it was my first job in the West End Theatre.
Wow.
I got my equity. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he in October is being given in London a Lifetime Achievement Award. Because of the work he's done. He's amazing director and choreographer. So that was my first job. And then I went into the King and I in the West End at the Palladium with Yul Brynner. And then I did the touring company Plans People. Then I auditioned for Legs and Co on Top of the Pops. It was my best friend, sort of like, she's like my sister Lynette, who's at the audition, and she rang me and said, Anita, there's an audition going on. I think you should be it. She was so generous. What a generous thing to do. She was at the auditioning herself, but she felt it was really right for me. So she rang me and I gate crashed the audition and I got it. They were out of Legs and Co on Top of the Pops, and Pauline Peters was leaving, and they auditioned, and there was like 1,000 girls auditioned.
Wow.
And I was very blessed to get it, and did that in 1981. I loved it.
And it sounds like just from the beginning with the dancing, you just went straight into all these beautiful things to do. And Top of the Pops, I mean, that was the thing at this time, right?
Oh my goodness, it was incredible. I was like pinching myself. I couldn't believe it, because I'd grown up watching Top of the Pops, because it was before we had all the media channels, MTV, and all the different channels. It was Thursday night, Top of the Pops. That was the music. So to be part of that was just, I was so blessed. I felt so privileged. So, really, really excited.
That's such a beautiful way to take it as well, and not just feel like you should be there, but really feel blessed. And I think that creates also everything that comes with that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, actually. It really was. It was because I was so, I was a bit in awe of doing it, if I'm honest, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, wow, I'd looked at these girls that were there already, Sue and bless her heart, Patty, most beautiful dancer, she died this year, and Lulu and Rosie and Jill, and I looked at them and they were just so amazing, and I was part of it. How lucky was I?
Yeah. And talented, of course.
Yes, I did have talent. I did have talent. That did help to get there.
Yeah.
You need a bit of that stuff.
Yeah. But then you start to get into the music side. How did that come about with the first?
Well, my life has always been, when I look at it, I've never really planned my life. And that the pros and cons of that are, the pros are I've had an incredible life, and sort of like done so many different diverse things. The cons are sometimes that I've got friends who are really, really sort of like focused and driven, and I really admire that. I always say, can some of it rub off on me, please? But the singing, I sort of had this urge to want to sing. And I'd done a little bit at school, like when in your senior school, going into like different competitions and stuff for the school. But I really wanted to sing. And what happened was the lady in Jackie Thomas, who was the manager of Toto Coelo, the first manager, the main manager really, she had seen me in Bubbling Brown Sugar, and she first of all put me in a group with Clark Peters, who's an amazing actor and performer and director, and his wife and me, and we did a group called, oh gosh, what were we called? The single was Boogie Airlines, and they used it for the Persuaders in Italy. And so she'd seen me in Bubbling Brown Sugar and approached me about doing this group. And then from there, I did Legs & Co. And then she said there's a group she was managing, and she thought I'd be really sort of like suited for it. Well, at the time, Legs & Co. had finished on Top of the Pops, and we were touring. And I sort of felt loyal to the group and wanted to be with the group. So I didn't go initially. And then Roz's sister was in the group. She left to do a solo career, and there was an opportunity. And I said, well, I'd like to. And then I auditioned for it, and then I got it. So it was something I knew I wanted to sing. I didn't know how or what I was going to do, how I was going to do that. But and then I got into the group, and it was amazing. We used to rehearse in Balham, and Sheen Duran was the founder of the group. And then there was Ross Holness, Lacey Bonds, Lindsay Danvers, incredible talents, all of them. And we rehearsed. And then we supported Rolls Royce on tour, the group. And we were meant to be signed to Trevor Horn. And we went in and recorded a song called Mirror Mirror, which Dollar recorded and released. And it wasn't really us. And then in between all of that, we were Radio Choice, Simon Lay came and saw us at Hammersmith Odeon and offered us a deal straight away, and to go in the studio and do everything. And we did that. And that's how I Eat Cannibals came out.
Wow.
And it was in Sweden. We got a gold record.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in my age, and I'm sure after as well, you've danced and rocked and heard that.
And it was just we had a real fun time. Unfortunately, we got ripped off financially.
Okay.
Hey ho. But I had a great time, and we had we really did have a good time. And it was so funny because our initial costumes were bin bags, and so we made our own. We would make our own bin bags just before the show. We put it together, and because I was a a punky sort of person, so mine was great. It was so easy. I just ripped things.
Yeah.
Whereas other people's, when they had corsets out of bin bags making it, you know, we had a lot of fun, and I'm still in contact with those lovely women as well.
But then you changed to another group. Did that come just like smoothly, or was it like a space between, or?
Well, I know when I look back, it just makes me smile.
Yeah.
At the journey I've been on. I've always loved rock. I've always loved rock and blues, always. And I love reggae too. I mean, I love all music, but I was always drawn. My earliest memories growing up were my mum dancing to Satisfaction and Jimi Hendrix. So these are my earliest memories. So rock, and my father loved jazz and blues. So I think I was very influenced by my parents' choice of music. And when I was coming back with Toto Coelo, I think we were coming back from Sweden actually on the plane, and we ended up sitting in the middle of Hanoi Rocks. Well, I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was before I got sober, and Raz was pouring brandy into my coffee. I didn't realise he was doing that at that point. You know, it was 8 a.m, and we're all just having fun, just a laugh. And then with Toto Coelo, I got to a point where I wanted to try and write. Were writing. We started writing. And what was really sad about the group was there was a lot of creativity in the group. And when the record company took it, there was things they said we would be able to do afterwards, and of course they didn't let that happen.
Yeah.
And so the creativity was sort of, you know, there was things that they did it their way basically. So I got to a point where I sort of wanted to expand, and I left the group. And because of that link in the airport on that plane journey, the producer of one of the Toto Coelo videos had said to me, "I think there's someone you should work with," and it was Andy McCoy. And I thought, isn't that that's a sort of a really weird link. So he contacted him, and we started writing together. And it was originally to try and get a solo deal for myself. And through that, then the awful tragedy about Razzle being killed. And then Mike left the band, and then there was Nasty, there was, you know, Jan, he's called now, you know, Terry and Andy. And then Andy talked about Timo being in the band, and said, and then said to me, "Do you want to do a band?" So we used the songs we'd co-written and used them for the Cherry Bombz. I mean, we did some Hanoi stuff as well, but like House of Ecstasy, Declaration, which was used on Nasty and Andy, like Andy and myself co-wrote, and Feline Feeling and things. So we used the material that I was originally going to be trying to get a solo deal with.
Good. Yeah.
Band, as well as material that Andy had, and using Hanoi songs as well, and cover Travelling Band, Hot Girls in Love rather. So yeah, that's how. So all of a sudden I ended up from and it was just so. When I look back, it's actually it sort of felt like a natural progression, even though people were going to me in interviews, "How did you end up in this band?" Because they were talking to me about people, because I went to watch the band Hanoi Rocks before we did the Cherry Bombz, because I hadn't heard of them, because I was moving in very different circles. Because even though I loved rock music, I didn't know of Hanoi. And so I went to watch one of their gigs, and I went, "Oh my goodness, there's so many people." They were queuing around the Lyceum. It was huge. You know, it was just interesting, because a lot of the interviews I do as well, people would ask me things, and I honestly didn't know some of the questions they were asking me, because I sort of entered into a world I did not have a knowledge about, really. But I just knew I loved the music, and I knew I loved performing. So that's all I ever really, you know, I wasn't, that's what always led me, what I felt.
That's a good guide. It's a good guide.
Yes.
What you love. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you toured, of course, with these all over in the States, or with the Cherry Bombz you were touring.
Yes.
Yeah.
We toured all over Europe. We toured to America. We supported Poison in America. We, unfortunately, because I think because it was so intense, the touring, and we were quite, you know, I don't know if it was Terry, but somebody always said bands live out their name. And we were called the Cherry Bombz, which is an explosion. And I think what happened was that there was such an intense energy, because we were quite strong characters as well. And it did explode, really. And it was really sad in a way when I look back, because we got to New York, and we were, you know, we had all the record companies from the 10-week tour we'd done, and Elektra wanted to sign us, and Andy and myself left the band. We did Reading, we came back to England, did the Reading Festival. The sad thing when I look back at that it was at a point where we were actually about to just probably move into the next level of success with the band. But at that point, and this isn't blaming anybody because it was where my head was at, really, my head was not in a good place. I think for my mental health, my friend always says to me, you always come back to base. There's something in you that takes you back to base, meaning that I'll back to that safe place. And I think my safe place was I left. When I look back, it's not about the others. It was where my head was at, really.
And is it between this time that you also become the television presenter? Yeah. Sky Channel. Is that between or at the same time? Or
so just before we went on the American tour, Gail Clayton, who was the producer at Sky, and it was in the first 5 years, I was interviewed as the Cherry Bombz, and Mick Wall interviewed me, and he was lovely. And she said, there's an opportunity for a presenter. Are you interested? I said, well, actually, I'd love to, but I'm going on tour with the band, and that's my thing. But of course, after that tour, we'd sort of exploded, and I'd left the band, and I rang her, and they then had got a lady who was very known over here as a presenter called Anita Chellamah. She then had obviously got that job. So I spoke to Gail and I said, look, I'm back, and she actually took me on, hired me, and so I did. With Gary Davis, who did at the Top of the Pops. He was a very known Radio 1 DJ as well. He and myself did the first ever World Music Video Awards that went out.
Wow.
Yeah, it went out live, and the auto cue and it all broke, and I had to waffle. To this day, I don't know what I said, but it was scary. But I remember Samantha Fox was the artist, and Bob Geldof and the Boom Time when it was on. And it's so weird because a friend of mine, Zara Phillips, she does a lot of music and acting and writing and a one-woman show. She does a lot of things. She's very talented. He was the backing singer for Bob Geldof, and I was a presenter. And then in recovery, when I met her when I got sober, and we remembered we met each other, but we didn't know each other. It was so amazing, really amazing.
And that really takes us in, because you're living now the rock and roll, what everyone thinks is rock and roll with alcohol and drugs and everything. But then there is like this turning point where you want to get sober.
Oh my goodness, it was, yes. I'm so grateful I am. I mean, it got to a place where Sky, I sang their 50th anniversary song. I was doing presenting live show. I did loads of shows on Sky, and it was amazing. And then Sky sort of were closing that channel down. And, you know, it was at a time when I can really look back, and they were letting go of people. And I was in a place at that point, my addiction had really started to take it. I mean, I wasn't drunk on set, but my decisions, the belligerence, you know, I could feel the fear base of addiction. It's a fear-based illness, and I could feel that was really rising, and my attitude was not, it was becoming quite belligerent, but it was at the same time I loved what I did, but I was getting into a place. So when that ended, because they closed down Sky Tracks, and when that closed, and I think I was one of the first presenters to actually go, because we all went quite, you know, and I can now look back and I can see, because they were saying to me, go and get these deals with these shops and these brands, and I was going, no, I'm doing me, you know. I became very rigid in my thinking, and you know, I can see it was the addiction, the mental side of the addiction was taking over. And when my contract finished with Sky, and I thought, what am I going to do? And I honestly didn't know. And by then the addiction had really taken over, and I was lost. I was absolutely lost. I was sitting there going, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I was just frozen in fear. And I reached out for help, and I got the help, and my life turned around. And it was really, but in the first year, it was really scary when I look back, because I was, you know, getting help for my addiction, and I wasn't, you know, I'd had my own on Sky for quite a while, for a long time, different shows, and all of a sudden I had no money. I was in court for my taxes that I hadn't paid. I was, you know, there was all sorts of things happening, and I had to start working. And I remember, because I had to pay the bills. So I wasn't having cars picking me up and taking me, and I wasn't living this life. And all of a sudden I'm going along to, in where I lived in Kensal Rise, there was a health shop. They were a lovely couple. and they had a signed photo of me on the wall, and I went to them for a job, and I helped behind the cashier serving people, and when anybody came in, I'd go running out the back if I knew them. And I thought, I'd always said we are all equal, but all of a sudden I realized I struggled. My pride was quite because all of a sudden I was like doing stuff, I was going, I shouldn't be doing this, but I was doing it. It was actually the best thing for me. I can look back now and think it really got me down to earth. It was hard. And then I went to work at a place called the London Lighthouse, which was an absolutely amazing oasis of a place. When HIV and AIDS hit, Princess Diana used to come in there, and I went into, and I was cleaning because I had no qualifications. And I remember I was in there, and I got the name changed to residential unit assistant. Because, in all fairness, we did do more than just clean. We made little meals and we sat with people. But it was when I look back, it was very grandiose. But the place was amazing, because back in those days, in the early 90s, people weren't accepting of people with HIV and AIDS. And it was amazing. Like Elton John dedicated all his money from Sacrifice. There was Hockneys on the wall. And it was the most incredible place to work. Tragic place, because people were dying all the time. Yeah. But in that place, even though I thought, God, I can't believe I'm not performing anymore. And I got a band together, I tried, but it just, at that point, getting sober, I couldn't cope. I could not cope. So I just needed to earn money to pay my bills. And by going, and this is why I believe I believe I've got a higher power, and I believe I'm guided. Yeah. And if I'm open to it, and I thought that was the worst thing in the world, to have to be doing cleaning work and all that. But actually, in that place, it was so incredibly, the experience I had there. And also, they ended up paying a third of my counselling qualification. So that's how I ended up, because one of the people there, I mean, initially, there was training at the London Lighthouse. And I just wanted to do the training to get away from the work, because I hated the work. Yeah. I loved the place, I loved the people, but I hated the work. So let me go and train. And by doing the training, they ended up letting me go on a counselling, a course with all the counsellors. Don't ask me how they let me do that. And I ended up going, this is amazing, because it was the only other thing apart from performing that really grabbed me. Yeah. Because I'm very curious about people, and I love people, and I love trying to understand processes and why people do things and why I do things. And it captivated me. I was captivated. From there, I started doing my counselling training. I qualified in 98. I should have qualified a year or two earlier, but what happened was I was so scared about going to do the work. Yeah. I ended up not doing any. You have to do all your voluntary hours in order to get to pass. I was scared to be let loose on people initially, because I was really nervous. So I ended up not doing my voluntary hours till I'd done all my academic part. I should have qualified a year or two. I can't remember earlier, but I ended up qualifying much later, because I did the voluntary hours after, at the end of my course, not at the beginning. So in 98, I actually qualified. I started working as a voluntary counsellor in 1997 for the Drug and Alcohol Foundation. And I was also being paid as an educator to go into schools and work with young people. And then in 98, I qualified. And then I was working with in treatment centres, women's treatment centres. I worked in a male treatment centre, using my drama skills and mixing that with recovery. Yeah. And then I started working in residential and day treatment programs with addicts and also families. Yeah. And people affected by it. And also I was doing stuff at the Lighthouse. They also had encouraged me. It was amazing, that place, because they offered me to do the drama workshop there. And so I was not a trained drama therapist, so I wasn't going to do that. But I contacted the lady I used to go to for classes, and she came, and we worked together, and we worked a program for people affected by HIV and AIDS through drama. There was opportunities that happened that I didn't plan, but they were given to me, and I would go, oh, how am I going to do? Okay, right. Yeah. And so I sort of lurched into things, but in a way, it's felt very natural and quite organic, really.
But I think because listening to you, I can hear, you are so responsive to your bodies or your hearts or whatever, your soul, whatever you want to call it, guidance. And it's like you take it and run with it, and then we can think after, wow, was that the right or wrong decision? But in the moment you follow it, and it always ends up being the right decision in a way when you follow your heart, I think. But I also want to say, because you said you felt that when you started your recovery, you felt you needed help, and I think that is so important that you actually asked for help, because I think there are a lot of people who, you're out on the deep end with your addiction, whatever it might be, but you're too scared, or you don't want to show your colors, or so I mean, it's so amazing that you asked for help.
I feel very blessed that I had that, what they call in recovery, that moment of clarity, where I saw the reality of where I was. And I'm grateful that I did reach out for help at that point, because the illness of addiction sort of tells you haven't got it. Yeah. And it's an illness of perception. And quite often, with addiction, as it progresses, going from, there's a lovely set, people won't see this because I'm doing it with my hands, but the right hand and the left hand start equally. And one side is the addict and the other side's the healthy self.
Yeah.
The addict takes the drink of the drug, and the healthy self initially enjoys the mood change. Oh, this is good. But then the addict takes more of these consequences, and the healthy self, which is like the conscience, goes, oh no, we need to stop that. We need to stop. Oh gosh, there's shame, there's feelings around it. The addict continues. And in the end, the addict knocks the healthy self till the healthy self is so far down. And at the very end, the addict is ruling. And that sense of isolated in the addict mind, not connected to other humans. And when those moments come up where you are aware of the remorse or aware of what's happened, the shame is so engulfing, you just want to reach out and change the way you feel. So when loved ones and family members say, it's as if you don't care for me. When an addict is in active addiction, you're looking at the person you think you love, but you're actually looking at the addict. Yeah. And they don't. And the only thing the addict really cares about is, how am I going to get my next whatever it is, whether it's a drink, a drug, whether it's sex, whether it's gambling, whether it's shopping, whatever it is. And so I always say with family members, because I now do, I worked at the Priory, and I was doing the trauma lead at the Priory and doing also some of the trauma workshops there, and being trained in the Peer Melody, the PIT model, which is an incredible model. But also I did DBT. I did the family group. Sorry, I'm going off on the kilter here, but I did the family group. And continue to work with family groups now as well in the private practice. And what I was saying, we say the 3 C's: you didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Yeah. And it's really important for loved ones to know that until the addict wants to get well, you're powerless. You're powerless over. And what tends to happen is the addict is focusing on their substance or their behavior or whatever it is. And then the family members and the loved ones focus on the addict. So they become equally addicted. So the addictive process just, sort of just keeps going into a hamster wheel. So it's about, how do you detach with love? To love the person but hate the illness. That's the bit, and yes, for me, I was very blessed, because I think I was very blessed. The lady who was who really helped me a lot, she died this year. And so, I'm 34 years sober, and she was there from the beginning till this year. And so that was huge. But at the same time, there's other people who've helped me along the way. And it's so important. I just want to say, for anyone out there who is in the throes of addiction, it is a day at a time, but there is a way out. You can, there is a way out. And it's about reaching out. And in the height of addiction, the last thing you really want to do is reach out. Yeah. And so it's forcing yourself to do something you might emotionally and mentally not want to do. Because we tend to go to the head for the answer. But with an addict, your illness lives in your head. So you're going to the problem for the solution, if that makes sense. So yes, I was very blessed, because I went and I threw myself in, because at that point, I think this is another thing, I'd had this career. And at that point, Steven Spielberg wasn't knocking on my door, or, sort of like this amazing rock producer wasn't saying, hey, we need you. So I was sort of left with me And I had no money. I was in court for tax, for not paying taxes, which, I mean, some of it took me 9 years to pay off. And I had nothing to do. And so I went and I threw myself into recovering from addiction. And
so really, maybe if this breaking point hadn't come, maybe you have continued the addiction as well. You don't know.
You just don't. I mean, I think I was very bad because I didn't get it straight away. For 6 weeks, I sort of fought it, and I kept trying to do it my way. And it was, what I'd say to anyone out there is, if I'd waited to feel 100% an addict or an alcoholic, I'd still be in it. Well, I wouldn't be here now, I'd be dead. I know that. I actually thought, let me just try. And all the right things felt wrong and the wrong things felt right, because everything that's familiar is everything you've got to change. And so you've got to go against what you're feeling. So the feelings aren't the facts of the situation. And it's a hard one because your intuition is really important. Of course it is. But when you're in active addiction, all of that gets sort of, it gets pushed down. So what's operating is your addiction is in full flight, just the next whatever. So when you're listening to your head telling you, it's a really good idea to go to that in early recovery, to go to that huge reunion where everyone's going to be drinking and using drugs. You'll be fine. No.
Yeah.
Like against it. It was, and I think the thing is, the fear-based illness. I remember being in early recovery, going to visit people I knew who were really lovely people. And I was, all of a sudden, my palms were sweating and I was going, why is that? I was scared. I'd never felt fear before, because I'd always medicated it. And, and I think also from the moment I started an addictive process, I stopped growing emotionally. So I was a 29-year-old woman with the emotions of a 12, 13-year-old, because I didn't know how to live life. So I had to learn that. And it's really hard at the beginning. So that's why I'd say to anybody who is struggling and anybody in early recovery, I always say it is painful. I'm not going to lie. It would be wrong to say it's not painful. But it's the pain of addiction is a dirty, rotten pain which carries on and on and on, and like a hamster wheel, but goes down. The pain of recovery, it's like a clean pain. You work through it. You work through it and you come through, and things happen, and you start feeling life on life's terms and feeling things in the present. And in recovery, it's not that you don't have pain anymore, but you live in the reality, unless you choose to pick up something. And it doesn't have to be a drink or drug. It could be a behavior, to change the way you feel.
I love that description of the spiral that you say. It's like it's pain, but it's going upwards and out into something better instead of going downwards and just continuing and escalating.
Yes.
So now you are working a full-time therapist with addictions and trauma.
Yeah, well, actually, yes, I was in a place called Sanctuary Lodge with UCAT. They're a big, I worked there, and then I worked at the Priory, and I was working on the addiction program, and then I was trauma lead there, and got trained in this amazing model. I started talking about the peer melody model, which is about, developmental, how we develop and how that affects our patterns in adulthood.
Okay.
And so putting those things together, and also I trained in DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, and putting all of those things together is an incredible way forward, I think, for any individual. Actually, I've benefited because everything I talk about I've applied to myself, and then at the moment I'm a therapeutic lead for a domestic abuse charity, which was a totally different.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it is and it isn't, because it's so about how do you get in touch with that part of you that needs to heal and be in healthy relationships. And how do you really look at what's happening, learn from what's happening, not berate yourself, have compassion and kindness, and be really loving to yourself, but also accept what's happening, but change it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
And so I've been very blessed to be in this totally different environment, because I've been from addiction and trauma. And so I feel as if once again I'm evolving, and I've been doing my private practice. And as I was saying to you just before, there's a man called Nuno Albuquerque. He's in Portugal. I'm going to be doing some groups in Portugal on Zoom, because the only good thing that came out of COVID, and it was because COVID was such a difficult, awful time for everybody.
Yeah.
But the one positive thing that came from having to work differently was I was able to then expand, and I'm going to be doing groups in Portugal, and which is amazing.
It
DBT
is.
groups. So I feel very blessed. I can feel I'm in a transition at the moment, and I'm not sure what's going to be the next. This is leading me somewhere. All these different models, and the post-induction trauma model, therapy model, the DBT, addiction, all of it, because I use it all around addiction and trauma, and the different places I work and the different things. I'm also been working for a gambling organisation called Gordon Moody. All these different, and Changing Pathways is the domestic abuse charity I work for. So all these different places and things, I feel as if are sort of just taking me down the path. And it's just having to trust, because sometimes that can be scary, when contracts end or funding's not there, and things are coming up at the moment where I don't know where I'm going totally, depending on funding with certain things. But then I have my private practice, which I've been developing, and that's been exciting, and that's been wonderful. And and I've been very blessed. Psychiatrists from the Priory have been referring clients to me as well. So there's a growth in one bit, and then there's uncertainty in the other. But I suppose that's life, isn't it? We don't have. The only thing I'm certain of is right now. I don't know what's going to happen in 2 seconds.
No, and that's where the trust comes in, that I feel you have, and it looks like I had it through life. And it's like also leaning back on your stories, knowing that you're always evolving, and it's moving you forwards and into another new exciting place. And it's not judgment if one is better or worse, it's just expanding, and it's just keep on going. That's experiencing new things and developing. And as you say, with Zoom and the internet and everything, we are not so closed into one area. You can go worldwide.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if anyone is listening now and thinking, oh, I have someone I want to talk to, Anita, or we will put the link to. Do you have a web page, or?
I'm in the process.
So I will put it later.
I'm in the process of doing a web page, but people can always contact me on my email.
I will put your email below.
People can contact me at my email. I'm absolutely fine about that.
Yeah, good.
I'm in the process of doing, because the technical side of it, you see, because I was saying to you before, there's friends of mine who are really together, focused and driven, and they sort all that side out. I tend to go with what I'm feeling. And so the admin side of things, even though I'm very together with my clients and my, on the places where it has to be together, but creating websites and doing it, I have really shied away from that. I keep meaning to, but I now know I need to do this. I need to drag myself into this century in the way that I need to, and do that, which I'm going to. So, yes.
So I know you said you meditate a bit. Do you feel that has been some help during your...
Oh, my God, yeah. I learned, well, it was really funny. When we were about to go on tour with the Cherry Bombz, I learned transcendental meditation. And I remember at the time, then this shows my addiction as well a little bit at the time, because even though I'd learned to meditate, because I was always searching for something, actually. And I was always searching, but I didn't know I was searching, and I didn't know I felt lacking on certain levels. When I learned the transcendental meditation, we got on the plane to fly to America, and they said, the plane's delayed, we're going to give you free champagne. Well, I was about to meditate. The meditation went out the window. I just took the alcohol. But I've got to say, on tour, I did meditate, because it is, when you do it, it's like 2 to 3 hours sleep. I learned it for that initially, but I've always done it. I haven't done it always every day. I've got to be honest. I haven't always done it twice a day, but I've always meditated. It's like I meditated this morning, and I've been meditating a lot, because my life changed again, and instead of working one place 5 days, I was 3 days, and then doing private practice too, doing different things. It freed up a bit more time, so I could, instead of having to get up at every day at a certain time, I can get up a little bit later, and I can sort of spend time doing a little bit of meditation. So I do that, and when I'm really tired and I'm really stressed, that's always a time I don't want to do it, but that's always a time I know I need to do it.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's well,
I've loved talking to you. I'm not going to take up all day for you, but I have 3 questions that I ask all my guests. So what is the most positive thing you take with you from what you have been through?
The most positive thing,
Or one positive, doesn't have to be
Well, there's
the
a few.
most.
No,
Yeah.
is the most. Is that I can be curious, and I can turn the situation and look, not be Pollyanna and go, oh, everything's just great, when it's not. But actually think, sometimes my darkest times have been incredible turning points. And, they've been like breakthroughs instead of breakdowns. Even though I have broken down, it's been a breakthrough to change. I think the greatest gift I've been given is I don't always like it, is to be able to accept myself for where I'm at, not where I want to be, to accept myself, who I am, for who I am today, and to make decisions from that. Because there's things in early recovery I'd want to do, and I would almost go and want to drink again because I didn't have the foundation to do that. Or in my personality, it wasn't suited for certain things at that point. And I think the greatest gift I've been given is to be able to see something and accept it, even if I don't like it, but accept it and know I need to implement that to keep me healthy and sober and clean and, alive, actually, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I totally love it. I think it's such a beautiful lesson, and I love that you're so aware of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's really, it's so important for everyone, not only if you have an addiction, but to actually accept where you are. And so beautiful. Absolutely. So, and when do you feel most like yourself, at peace and relaxed?
When I'm in that place. When I'm in that place of acceptance, I might be upset and I might be really pissed off. I want to go and do something, or something's not happening. Why is that not happening? Actually, it's probably not happening. But when I actually accept, for me, it's all linked. When I actually accept and I can just go, let go of it, Anita. Be in the now. How blessed are you to have the now? How blessed are you to have what you have? I've got my family. I've got, how blessed I'm alive. I'm, the path I was on, I might not have been alive. And to really get in touch with my gratitude, when I can be in that place, that's when I'm at most peace. It's not a place or a thing, it's a frame of, it's a state of mind for me.
Yeah, again, love it, because that's when we are at peace, when we do accept.
Yes.
And so what is the joy for you today? And if you were to put the color on it, what color would it be?
What's the joy? I love feeling connected.
Yeah.
And I love my favorite colors. It's funny because I always loved yellow, and I thought I loved red at one point, but I loved it. But actually, I love green. I'm so drawn. My car, my husband bought me a little Mazda years ago, and I burst into tears. It was the most beautiful. She was called Tallulah. She was a little Mazda MX-5, and I loved her. But I changed my car, and I've got a little green, metallic green, dark green, racing green Mini called Esmeralda. And I love the color green. I'm drawn to it, and it's so interesting because when I was at school, in my senior school, and I had this teacher she didn't have great skills with people, with certain people. With people who were very studious in a certain way, she was great, but she used to put red lines through my creativity and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But I thought I hated green for many years. It's because of my school uniform.
Yeah.
And the reason I hate it, but I actually think probably my favorite color, even though I love bright colors, I'm very drawn to green. I love silver as well, actually. But I'm very drawn, green, yellow. There's something very happy about yellow and childlike for me. But green has got a depth to it, which I feel is, I don't know, it just feels really wholesome and has substance. And I just love the fact it feels really solid.
Yeah. And also, you always talk about the heart energy. It's pink and green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you have it's like heart color in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Thank you.
What is in your pipeline now? Is it continuing developing your own practice, or are you continuing? Because I know you took up some music as well. Will you continue with that?
Well, I came back to music again in 2012, and I started working with the beautiful Timo and also Dave Dragana. And as everyone knows who knows that Timo, he tried, for me, it's very tragic. He died this year. And we had a wonderful creative process. And I still sing songs and melodies and lyrics into my phone.
Yeah.
I haven't found anyone to work with, because I think it was like a grieving process for me as well around
Of
him,
course.
because I just loved working with him. But I would like to record. I'd like to do music. I feel I really, that's still there for me. And one day I'm going to do an album. I don't know how or when, but I would love to do that just to express me.
Yeah.
And I would love to do some more music. I do love it.
Yeah.
I don't know how or when that's going to look, because I'm not out doing it right now. But I love performing, and I do love creativity, and it's a big part of me. And so it was really nice to go back to. We used to sit in Timo's front room. There'd be Timo, Dave Tregarna, and myself, and my beautiful friend Annette, who's she's like my sister, and she was doing backing vocals. And we'd sit and we'd create and we'd rehearse, and it was great. It was just lovely being together, all doing what we love. It's just amazing. I mean, I love performing as well, don't get me wrong, but it was just working with people that it was like a pair of old slippers. It wasn't ego. It was just, it's just lovely.
Yeah.
Just creating and being, it was just wonderful.
Taking the good parts of what you used to do, like as you say, the creative part. And
also when we did the video, that was fab. I loved doing that. It was, and Terry was doing it as well. He's still my, he's a really close friend. And it was just all of us together, and it was just fun to be creative. And of course we had Liam Hooper, who was the director. He was fabulous. And that was a story. I just very quickly tell you, at this time, it was really amazing, because I wanted to do music, obviously, and I was doing it. And then there was a recording, and this lovely producer Andy did it, and then we went and recorded the 3 tracks, and then I chose the single to do a video. And I didn't have the money. I mean, because obviously I was paying for things myself. I wasn't earning money that I thought I could do that. And then what was amazing, this guy Paul Hooper had contacted me. He was a fan of the Cherry Bombz, and he'd contacted me ages ago and said about his son was going into directing or whatever. And he'd just come out, I think, the Brit School of doing direct. Anyway, I contacted him. In the end, Liam, his son, directed that video, but I didn't know Paul put £1,000 up. And so I was so touched when I found that out, because he didn't tell me initially. I didn't know that. So we got together. There was Terry, Dave, me, Timo, and Lynette. And then there was Liam and his crew, a really talented lot of people. And he's in Los Angeles now. And they were, these young, talented, lovely people. And we spent 2-3 days doing this, the Give Me the Answer video, which is on YouTube.
Yeah.
We had such fun. And that's about my higher power. And it was so funny, because originally Liam and me had a conversation, because it looks quite dark in the video. And he was saying about this voodoo doll. And I went, no, this is about my higher power. And Mark, who plays the guy in it, originally I wanted that to be me, to be two parts of me. But it was me that was sort of the part that was really sort of still caught up in everything. And then there's the other part, give me the answer, because you're always going, give me the answer, give me the answer, give me the answer. I need to know now. And so it was, and then there was the healthy part. And so Mark represented my addict. And so then, at the end, I know they did a little pretend alligator ate him. But it was about that. And in the video, it's a bit when it goes into this sort of like fluorescent colors. And then when he gives me the photograph with him, at that point, it's like, I just say, no, I don't want to hurt you. Just go. And so, I mean, he does get eaten at the end by an alligator on the video. But it was about addiction. But I couldn't afford to do a video with all the effects that would take. So he represented, sobriety and the illness. So I miss doing that. I've got to be honest. I do love the book. It just, I don't know where do I start with all of that right now, because it's about financing myself and stuff. And it's, and especially at the moment with all the crisis of finances and stuff in the world, if I had to say.
But looking at your path in life, something will fall down for you.
I think if it's meant to be, it will be. Absolutely. Absolutely. So who knows? I'm quite, I'm open to whatever's the next. Who knows?
So Anita, this has been such a pleasure talking to you, and I'm so happy that you joined. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Maria. It's beautiful to see. I always loved your energy when I met you. You've got such a wonderful energy.
Oh, thank you.
And you're doing amazing things. So it's just so lovely. Hopefully it won't be that we'll see each other more than the next, God, how many years?
Yes. God, and I can't even think, because then you suddenly realize is it like not 10, but I think 8 or something?
It's something crazy.
Yeah.
It really is.
So it's like, wow, how old am I?
I know, that's the thing. That's true.
So thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you, Maria. Gorgeous to see you. Thank you for asking me.
Okay, so now it's time to do some meditation jam. So if you like, you can pause and stretch your legs before you continue with this meditation. Right now we are going into meditation that is helping us to clear our emotions, our thoughts, ground your body and open yourself up to that beautiful, lovely, universal connected heart chakra or your heart wisdom, to use that as your guide moving forward. So I hope you will enjoy this meditation, and let's start. So please get seated with your back straight and your palms up, or if you're lying down, your palms up. Close your eyes and we start by taking 3 deep breaths. And imagine that where you are sitting or lying down, there is a pillar of red healing earth energy that is coming from Mother Earth, and it's going up through you, around you, covering your body inside and out and continuing up and out into the sky and the universe. And we now have this red healing earth energy keeping us grounded on this journey. And imagine that there is a similar pillar of divine bright light. A universal energy that is coming from above, and it's going down through you, around you, covering your body inside and out and continuing down into Mother Earth. And we now have this universal energy keeping us balanced on this journey. And we take another deep breath. Imagine that you are standing high up upon a cliff with a beautiful water beneath you, and it's a beautiful day, but there is a strong wind. That is moving through and around you, and you can see the water is shimmering from the sun and in movement with the current, with the waves, But even though there is all this movement going on around you, you are feeling peaceful, steady, just as the cliff that you are standing upon. Feeling one with Mother Earth. Feel her strength moving through you, holding you in that peaceful way that can make you relax and let go. Even though there is a swirl of wind going through you and around you, just let your body be held by Mother Earth, be stilled by her presence, and all you have to do is stand here and accept it into your body. Into your mind, and if you have a hard time letting go of thoughts, the day, plans, then ask this wind to take it with it as it moves through you, to release you from any thoughts on repeat, from any old beliefs. Just allow it to be swept away, effortless. And maybe you see or hear or sense it as it moves through you. And if nothing, don't worry, just by you being here listening to this, your energy is doing the work for you, so you can just relax, sit back, and keep on following the journey. And it's a beautiful wind that is sweeping away what's no longer for you. And we're just staying here, allowing this to move through us. And we send it into our future to clear our path. To clear our mind and allow it to be open and free, to trust the current of life that is moving through us just like the water beneath us. And if you were to be in the water right now, trying to swim against the current, that would be a struggle. But if you just let go and allow it to take you, you can enjoy the ride, floating and soaking up the sun. As you are being swept away by this rapid moving water, after you have cleared your mind, and all you have to do now is relax and enjoy the ride. Know that you will get to a place that is perfect for you. And as you are floating here in the water, you get the opportunity to clear your emotions, to let go of any lingering emotions that are holding you back. And it could be emotions you know about or unconscious emotions. Just allow this water to clear it for you at this point, making you feel lighter, freer, and all you have to do is allow this current to move you and clear your emotions, the ones that are no longer working, but hindering you in your growth and life. And we take a deep breath. Feel your body relax even more. And as you are floating here in the water, the sun is shining down upon you, around you, making a beautiful shimmer that is moving through the water and you. And it's moving to your heart chakra, the center of your chest, as a ray of light. Expanding and deepening your connection to your beautiful inner self, to your heart. And with your cleared mind and cleared emotions, there is a beautiful connection and communication coming through, moving through your entire body, starting at your heart chakra, as an infinite wise guide that you can lean on, trust, and enjoy life together with. And this guide, your inner beautiful light, is steering you to land, to a beautiful shore where you can easily walk up on. Maybe you see it as a beach or a harbor or rocks. Let whatever comes to you be the right thing at this moment. And right now, this is the perfect place for you to rest, to take in where you are in life, who you are, and just accept this beautiful being that you are. Feel it in your whole body. Accept it in your mind. And allow yourself to feel this beautiful universal love that is moving through you, through your heart chakra and out into your body. Allow yourself to feel it for yourself. With total acceptance and love, without judgment or control. It is just a beautiful flow of energy of yourself. Now we take a deep breath And if you like, you can set your intention to keep this going throughout your day, your week, your month. And you can come back and reconnect as often as you like. And we start to move back into our body, into the place where you started. And we give thanks to Mother Earth and Father Universe and the Higher Self for joining us today. And you can start to come fully back into your body. Start to move your hands, your feet, your neck. Maybe clap your hands and stamp your feet, and I thank you for listening. Satnam. So warm welcome back from that, I would say both relaxing, igniting and uplifting inner journey. I had such a beautiful vision of us standing up there on this beautiful cliff, and it wasn't a storm around us, but it was like this, very windy, but in a way a soft, nice wind. And as always, if you fall asleep, if you think about something else, or if you don't get any pictures or anything, it's totally fine, because just by you being here, listening to this, your energy is doing the work for you. So the words are more for our mind to have something to lean into, and also to get a little bit of inclination of what the energy is up to. And so today I felt it was about first to clear our thoughts, our emotions, or first of all we grounded with earth, and then we cleared, and then it was this beautiful ignition of our hearts to trust all that comes when we are clearing our emotions, when we are clearing our mind. It's almost like we start at a new platform, and that can sometimes feel scary, it can feel exciting, but it can also feel confusing. So it's like we really don't know which way to turn, because we are so used to doing certain things or thinking in a certain way, and suddenly we start to have new emotions, we have new ideas or new things that excites us, or where we want to go or do, and that can be sometimes very confusing, because we don't recognize ourselves. Now that we are shifting into this beautiful energy that is here, there will be moments of confusion. But if we allow ourselves to just lean back into our beautiful, truly infinite wise hearts that are guiding us, then it will take us to our spot where we can relax and flow with the current of life. So I felt it was a truly beautiful energy that we tapped into, both in the ways of clearing, but also accepting ourselves, accepting our light, our connection with the universe, and trust it to guide us. So I'm really excited to see how this will show up. And if you followed me before, you know that sometimes the transformation comes quick and sometimes it might take a bit longer time. But that's why I also always encourage you to write down any insights or your journey after this, because then that gives your mind something to, it's like an evidence for your mind that, okay, yeah, we did that. And then it maybe is visible or noticeable in 6 months' time. And then it's really good to have this evidence in a way that was what we were working with then, and now it's actually happened. So if you had anything like this, then please write it down. And if you have any questions, comments, or you want to share your journey, then please go ahead, and you can do it publicly or you can send me a DM. And I also hope that you enjoyed today's talk with Anita Chellamah. I know I did, and what a power woman. She is so creative and so filled with passion. I really love talking to her and hear her story, how she, even if she struggled on the way, it felt like this current is moving her, current of life is moving her, and she is open to it. And sure, we take detours on our way at times, and we do things that maybe we shouldn't, or that is not always healthy for the body. But when we get back into it, when we get back into the flow of life guided from the heart, then that is also a wisdom, and like she is doing, sharing her wisdom and helping others who are stuck. So beautiful. And I'm really happy to be able to share our talk with you all. So I thank you for listening and have a beautiful time until the next time. Satnam. You have been listening to Meditation Jam with Maria Rinné, and I am so grateful that you have joined today with your energy. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe, hit the like button and leave a review if there was something specific that you enjoyed. And you will find more links in the text below from my guests and also to my social media if you like to follow me there. So thank you again for joining, and I hope you have a beautiful day, week and month. Satnam.